Since its debut in 1999, the Super Smash Bros. Series has sold over 20 million copies and is one of the most popular gaming franchises around today. The series' sophomore release, Super Smash Bros. Melee, is the best-selling Nintendo GameCube game of all time, with a competitive scene that still thrives today. Despite Smash's strong community and healthy competitive tournament scene, fans of the series have always been seen as a bit separated from the traditional fighting game community. This year, however, Super Smash Bros. Melee will be at the 2013 Evolution Championship Series, the world's largest fighting game tournament. A staple of the fighting game community, Street Fighter is the most widely known fighting game. It wrote the book on spacing, zoning, special moves, and basically everything else. In one way or another, every fighting game is based on Street Fighter. Though Smash's platformer roots and pinball-like chaos may not make it readily apparent, like most fighting games, the Smash series derives a lot from Street Fighter when it comes to gameplay mechanics. This guide will explore the similarities between the two games in hopes of bringing Street Fighters to a better understanding of Smash. Street Fighter players predominantly use arcade sticks, while Smashers generally use the GameCube controller pad. Moving in Street Fighter is an entirely digital process. Despite arcade sticks having a joystick, this joystick is digital in its design. Like a directional pad on a controller, each direction that you press is one of 8 absolute directions. In Smash, however, the game has fully analog control. Tilting the GameCube pad's analog stick slightly forward will make your character walk slowly, while pressing it fully forward will make you walk faster. The digital and analog differences in each game are the same for aerial movement. In Street Fighter, you essentially have 3 choices for taking to the air: jump back, jump straight up, or jump forward. Once you commit to a direction, you can't change your character's jump arc by moving them in the air. In Smash, however, you have complete control of your character's movement while in the air. For instance, you can jump straight up and then decide to fall backwards or forwards, or both, in a sort of wiggling motion. Additionally, the height of a jump is affected by how long the jump button is held down. Pressing and releasing the jump button quickly performs a shorter jump than normal. Furthermore, you can press down on the analog stick while in the air to make your character fall to the ground faster. Finally, all characters in Smash can perform at least one additional mid-air jump, which further adds to their ability to move around in the air. Smash's analog controls are factored into almost every facet of controlling your character. You even have directional influence over your trajectory when you're knocked away by attacks. This varied and precise control is a huge contributing factor to the feel of the game, and an important part of maneuvering around the various stages and their differing layouts. Street Fighter characters have 6 basic attack buttons: Light Punch, Medium Punch, and Hard Punch, and Light Kick, Medium Kick, and Hard Kick. Each of these buttons executes a different attack, and the attack changes depending on whether your character is standing, crouching, jumping up, or jumping at an angle. Smash characters, on the other hand, only have one basic attack button, the A button. While that may seem overly simplistic, here's how the analog stick and the A button work together to create all of the basic attacks in a Smash character's arsenal. The A button by itself is a jab. For most characters, this can be pressed once, twice, or 3 times in succession as part of an attack sequence. Tilting the analog stick up, down, left, or right while pressing A performs the character's tilt attacks, or tilts. Flicking the yellow C stick up, down, left, or right performs the character's smash attacks, or smashes. Alternatively, these can also be performed by smashing the analog stick up, down, left, or right while pressing A. The difference between tilting and smashing is that a tilt is performed by pushing the analog stick lightly, or not fully in the direction, while a smash is executed by slamming, or smashing, the analog stick as far as it can go. Smash attacks also require that you press the direction simultaneously with the A button, while tilts can be performed by holding a direction prior to pressing A. Finally, while a character is in the air, pressing up, down, left, right, or no direction while pressing A performs the character's aerial attacks, or aerials. A notable quirk of this directional attack system is that pressing a direction while airborne will cause your character to move in that direction. This issue can be circumvented by using the C-stick to perform aerials, while retaining directional control with the analog stick. While special moves in Street Fighter are performed with directional inputs combined with the 6 various attack buttons, Smash has a less technical system that utilizes a dedicated special attack button, the B button. While on the ground or in the air, pressing up, down, left, right, or no direction while pressing B performs a character's specials. In Street Fighter, throws play an important role since they cannot be blocked. If an opponent is blocking most of your attacks, a throw will open him up and keep him guessing. Each character has 2 throws, a forward throw and a back throw. Throws result in a knockdown, which puts the thrown player at a significant positional disadvantage. Players can tech, or break throws, by pressing throw at the same time that their opponent initiates the throw. It's important to note that characters in Street Fighter must be in a neutral state in order to be thrown. You can't combo into throws, and you can't throw someone while they're blocking your attack. In Smash, throws play a very similar role, allowing you to open up an opponent who is shielding your attacks. There are a few key differences though, most notably that you can combo both into and out of many grabs. Each character has 4 different throws and a pummel. To perform a throw, press the Z button. This will grab the opponent, at which point you can pummel them by pressing A, and throw them by pressing up, down, left, or right. Each direction will perform a different throw with a different effect. Characters can break out of throws by mashing or pressing buttons while moving the analog stick. In Street Fighter, blocking is performed by holding back, or the direction that points away from your opponent. Directional blocking can create some ambiguous situations, such as when your opponent jumps over you while performing an attack. This changes the required block direction and is known as a cross-up. Blocking an attack is further complicated by the existence of high attacks, or overheads, and low attacks. Differentiating between these attacks requires the player to block with either back or down back, depending on the type of attack. In Smash, pressing the shield button encompasses your character in a spherical bubble that prevents attacks from hitting you. At first, this may sound like easy mode when compared to blocking in Street Fighter, but there are several mechanics that keep shielding in check. Shielding attacks reduces the size of a player's shield. Additionally, the act of holding a shield causes it to slowly shrink in size over time. This is known as shield decay. Shield poking is the act of attacking a player in a spot that their shield no longer covers, allowing you to penetrate their defense. A defender with a low shield must try to angle it in the direction of an incoming attack for better coverage. If a character's shield depletes fully from attacks, or simply from being held for too long, the shield will break, causing the player to become dizzy and unable to move for a prolonged period of time. This grants the aggressor a free attack, similar to being stunned or guard broken in other fighting games. While shielding, there are 4 additional defensive options that can be performed. Spot dodge, which is performed by holding shield and pressing down on the analog stick. Roll, which is performed by holding shield and pressing left or right on the analog stick. Jump, which is performed by shielding and pressing X, Y, or up on the analog stick. And grab, which is performed by holding shield and pressing A. Characters can also power shield, which is performed by shielding the instant an attack would hit you, reducing the amount of shield stun. You can also use power shielding to reflect projectiles back at an attacker. It should be noted that, similar to backdashing and teleporting in Street Fighter, characters are vulnerable at the end of most of these dodges and rolls. Finally, like their Street Fighter counterparts, Smash characters cannot block in the air. They can, however, perform an air dodge. This is performed by pressing the shield button while airborne. Air dodging moves the character in the direction held and grants momentary invincibility. Once the invincibility fades, however, the character will fall to the ground in a helpless state, making air dodging a valuable but risky defensive technique. In Street Fighter, a player must completely deplete his opponent's hit points in order to win a round, with 2 out of 3 rounds winning the game. Should neither player lose all of his hit points during a round, the player with the most hit points at the end of the 99-second timer is declared the winner. Where Street Fighter has rounds, Smash has stocks. Each player has a set number of stocks, or lives, and once a player loses all of his stocks, he has lost the match. Smash also has a longer timer that spans the entire match and all of the player's stocks, with Melee traditionally being played on an 8-minute timer with 4 stocks. Rather than using Street Fighter's traditional hit point system, Smash employs damage percentages. A character starts at 0% and can be racked up with damage up to 999%, but characters do not die directly from this effect at any percentage. The higher a character's damage percentage, the farther they will be knocked back by attacks. In order to defeat an opponent, a player must knock them off the stage into the top, side, or bottom blast zones. Falling into or being knocked into a blast zone will remove a stock, causing the player to respawn in the center of the stage at 0% with a brief window of invincibility after the respawn. Street Fighter has a meter-based mechanic called the Super Meter, which is built up by attacking the opponent and using special moves. Super Meter can be spent on individual bars for powered-up EX moves, 2 bars for the advanced technique Focus Attack Dash Canceling, or as an entire bar for a more powerful Super Combo. Street Fighter IV also introduced a comeback mechanic by way of the Ultra Meter. Players gain Ultra Meter by taking damage, and once they've built up enough Ultra Meter, players can unleash their Ultra Combo, which is generally their most powerful attack. While Smash has no meter-based comeback mechanic, it does have ledge guarding. Ledge guarding is the act of knocking an opponent off the stage and preventing them from making it back by hitting them, or preventing them from grabbing the ledge by grabbing it yourself first. When someone is ledge guarded and dies at a lower percent, it's generally referred to as a gimp. Ledge guarding and ledge pressure in Smash are similar to corner pressure in Street Fighter, in that the aggressor has a significant positional advantage. While a character on the ledge has several options for recovering onto the stage, all of them can be limited and potentially punished by the aggressor's superior positioning. In addition to traditional button sequence combos, many combos in Smash require specific spacing and movement to continue the combo. It's also important to note that many moves have either a strong or a weak hitbox depending on when or where the move hits. This has important applications because it means that the same move, when spaced or timed differently, can be used for different purposes. While character-specific combos exist in almost every fighting game, they're much more prevalent in Smash because of differences in character weight and character fall speed. Smash's combos are also often percentage-specific, meaning that some combos will only work at lower percents, while other combos only work at higher percents. Chain throws are also prevalent in Smash, and like combos, offer guaranteed damage on an opponent. Chain throws generally start at very low percents, rack up significant damage, and end in a follow-up that can potentially lead to death. The Ice Climbers are particularly notorious for this, as their extensive arsenal of chain grabs almost always combo into a kill. Directional influence, or DI, is the act of controlling the direction that your character flies in after being hit by an attack. There are many different applications for directional influence, but the main two are Survival DI and Combo DI. Survival DI attempts to aim your character towards the corner of the screen. This increases the distance traveled before hitting the blast zone, making it more likely for your character to survive. Survival DI is performed by holding the analog stick perpendicular to the direction that an attack sends you flying in. Combo DI is used by the character who is being comboed in an attempt to prevent the aggressor from completing their combo. The character being comboed will try to DI into a position where the attacker cannot reach him, or into a position that he was not expecting. The aggressor must react to his opponent's combo DI in order to continue his combo. Combo DI is a bit tricky, and a proper reaction from the aggressor can quickly turn his opponent's combo DI into bad survival DI, scoring him a quick kill. A good player will use a combination of combo DI and survival DI to minimize damage taken and maximize survivability. Teching is a quick recovery performed by pressing L or R just before you come in contact with a solid surface during knockback hit stun. When teching the ground, holding left or right will cause you to roll in that direction. Teching is frequently used in an attempt to escape bad situations, and an aggressor's attempt to read whether his opponent will tech in place, to the left, or to the right is known as tech chasing. Dash dancing is the act of masking your intended movement with quick dashes towards and away from your opponent. It's a fundamental tool that lets you bait your opponent into whiffing an attack and lets you score a punish. Wave dashing is a mobility technique and a side effect from an interesting quirk of the air dodge system. Air dodging diagonally into the ground retains momentum from the air dodge, creating a sliding motion. During this slide, a character is considered to be in a neutral state and can perform any action during or after the wave dash. This is particularly useful because a player's actions are limited during their standard dash and run animations. The range of options available during wave dashing, coupled with its mobility, makes it a staple of competitive play. Players frequently use wave dashing in conjunction with dash dancing and other techniques to increase their mobility, spacing, and punishing options. An abbreviation for short hop, fast fall, lag cancel, shuffling is a sequence of 3 important techniques that allows the player to utilize his aerial attacks more efficiently. Shuffling lets players perform aerial attacks quickly while close to the ground, making aerials more viable for approaching, comboing, and zoning. Here's a further explanation of the individual techniques that comprise shuffling. Short hopping is a technique that significantly reduces a character's jump height. It's performed by pressing and very quickly releasing the jump button. Fast falling is a technique that makes a character fall to the ground more quickly. It's performed by pressing down on the analog stick at or after the apex of a jump or when falling. Perhaps the most important element of shuffling, lag canceling, is the act of pressing L, R, or Z just before the landing animation of an aerial attack. This eliminates half of the move's usual landing lag, allowing the player to act much sooner than he would otherwise be able to. Combining the strength of these individual tactics makes shuffling one of the most practiced techniques in the game. Certain moves can cancel the initial frames of a character's jump, which is known as jump canceling. The most common jump canceled moves are grab and up smash. Performing a jump canceled grab while dashing is generally faster and has more range than a normal dashing grab. You can also jump cancel up smash, which allows you to up smash while shielding or running. While crouching, characters receive less hit stun and knockback from attacks. This especially effective technique, known as crouch canceling, completely negates flinch frames, effectively allowing the player to counter an attack. Crouch canceling is generally only used at lower percents, since at higher percents it can lead to bad DI and potentially death. It's important to note that some multi-hit moves completely destroy crouch canceling. There are many character-specific techniques that lie beyond the depth of this video. Here are a few quick examples. Smash is a surprisingly deep game with all of the technical depth, strategy, mind games, and complexities that you'd expect from a great fighting game. The Smash community has seen continued competitive growth in the years since its release, and the dedication of its players and their close-knit community is hard to ignore.